This is another review for before we start doing object-oriented coding. In this video, we're going to animate a bunch of shapes using the translate command. So, you know, your avatars are usually a bunch of shapes, and we animated them maybe. We're going to do lots of animating in the object-oriented program thing. And the second, we'll make a function from a bunch of commands. So you guys also, just a reminder, the translate command takes an X and a Y parameter, just like most of the commands in P5.js. There's X comma Y, and mostly we've been using the translate command with like a variable called X and just a 0 after it because we've been animating stuff just going across the screen. So if we wanted to make rain, you know, we'd use this Y, and we'd have a variable called Y, and maybe we wouldn't have anything moving on the X. Pretty soon we're going to have translating of both X and Y. So without further ado, let's get started. So here I have a bunch of shapes, just a bunch of random ellipses, and let's take a look at that code, shall we? I duplicated empty example and I called it COVID. You guys know how to duplicate empty example now. This is in week 11, and this is what the sketch looks like. So let's take that out. So my setup, I made a canvas that's 500 by 500. I have rectMode and ellipseMode center. So if I had an ellipse at 0, 0, instead of it starting there and being like an ellipse right at 0, 0, or a rectangle right at 0, it will draw its middle at 0, 0. So it'll place it from its center. I don't know how better to explain it to you guys than that. It's just a nice thing to have in your setup. Here, my background is light blue I've done here, and then here underneath here everything's going to be red, and these are just a bunch of ellipses you guys saw here. So one thing, I'll save this and we'll take a look at this. So you see all these little lines around here? That's because there's a default stroke around every shape, and if I want that to go away, and I want it to go away this time because it looks kind of cool with no stroke. So I'm going to put the no stroke command, and everything underneath there is not going to have a stroke till I use the stroke command again. See that? They disappeared. That's kind of cool. Okay, so a lot of you guys have got like a huge long list of shapes, and that's awesome. Shape primitives, right? Something that you can do is you can take all of your shape primitives away, and then on the outside of all of this stuff, see here's function setup, beginning and ending curly bracket, function draw, beginning and ending curly bracket. You can make another function, and I'll call this function COVID, because why not? Or make COVID, maybe I'll call it make COVID. And then I'm going to paste all those strokes in there, or shapes in there. And then over here, when I want this to actually happen, I can copy this and just paste that there, and that'll make a COVID. It'll make one of those little avatars that I had here. So nothing should be changed now when I run this. It's right there. Cool. Right. So I've put a bunch of commands into a function, and I named it whatever I wanted to name it. In order to make it get called, this is calling the function here. All right, so if I wanted to make another, if I did this again, it'd make it in the same place, but I could translate, and I could move it over like 50, 50, right? That'll move it over 50 this way, and then 50 down. So there will be two COVIDs here, but one will be apart from the other. See that? And if I'm like, oh no, I want to move it really far over on the x-axis, then I could move it more. I could move it 200. 200 there. So now this will move it more over. So you guys can see what's happening here. So let me get that out of here. And how do I make this move across the screen again? Just like the last video, you guys remember, we need a variable x. So up at the top here, we'll do var x equals 0. And then here, we can't put x in here, like change all these. We're going to use just a translate command. So the translate command was this, translate x comma 0, because I'm not going to move it on the y-axis. I'm just going to move it across the screen. And when I use a translate or a scale or a rotate command, you guys remember we need to do that push and pop. So push, only when you use these weird commands, you really need to use push and pop. Here I'm translating my whole world, so everything inside here is kind of taken out and has its own little coordinate system. Then when I want to move x, I could do that inside the push and the pop, or I could do it outside, doesn't matter. I think I'll do it inside right now. So x equals x plus 5 maybe, just to make it move kind of fast across the screen. Let's see if it moves across the screen now. There should only be one of these, and it should move, yay, move across the screen. It's not looping around yet because I'm just increasing x over and over and over again. So probably what I want to have happen in here is if x is greater than width of the screen, right? X equals 0. You all remember that. And actually, here, going across the screen, there it is again. It's kind of starting. Since my shape starts at 100, 100 kind of, maybe instead of setting x equal to 0 here, maybe I want to set it equal to like -300 or something. That'll start it off the screen. When I loop it, watch, it's going to come from off the screen. So you can set an x or a y coordinate to a negative also. It'll just be off the screen. You won't see it. Okay? Excellent. That's all for this video. Oops.